Thousands of Hungarians have been in the streets of Budapest this weekend, continuing to protest what's being called the country's slave law. On Friday and Saturday in Budapest, people turned up carrying Hungarian and European Union flags, along with banners that said things like "Sweep away the regime." The new law that's introduced by right-wing leader Viktor Orbán lets employers ask people to work up to 400 hours a year in overtime. Opposition to the law has united Hungarians for the most sustained resistance to the Orbán government since he came to power. Well, let's go live now to our correspondent, Robert Csakany. Good morning to you, Robert. These protests have been going on now for weeks. Just tell us what happened this weekend.
Well, as you can see on our pictures, Belle, this weekend thousands of people, maybe 10,000 people, gathered at the Parliament Square in Budapest for a protest against the government, to protest against the so-called slave law, which is the amendment of the labor code. Now, this was the biggest protest for months or maybe even for years, and there were not only voters of specific parties or people of some certain ideologies, since all the major opposition parties joined their forces to organize this protest, and hand in hand with NGOs and several unions. The demonstrations was officially called against this so-called slave law, as I already said, but it was well known already at the calling that it was against the government and against the governing party Fidesz. Now, of course, there was a response. The spokesperson of the government stated in a short video that all parties and NGOs organizing this protest are agents paid by George Soros, and their only agenda is to make Hungary a migrant country. But I have to add that there has no proof for this statement provided ever.
And Robert, very quickly, what do you think happens next for this movement? Where do you see it going?
Unions called for a nationwide demonstration for 19th of January, that is next Saturday, and they also said that they would all be open for a nationwide strike as well. Opposition political parties, which joined their forces for the first time for this demonstration, were talking about joining their forces for the municipal elections as well, coming up this fall. And there are some voices, like an opinion post of the head of the Associations of Journalists in Hungary, which are calling out for the opposition parties to have a joint list for the European parliamentary elections as well.